Good morning, everybody, and thank you all for missing us last week when David and I could not get to the live due to my travel plans, but we're back online and we're happy to see you all with us. And as always, it is Wednesday morning and we're here to present you with the real estate market update and the mortgage market update for the state of Nevada. While we are waiting for our partner and companion David Gazarian from IQ Mortgages to join us, I'm going to give you a few bits of information on the real estate market here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Our market covers Las Vegas, Henderson, and North Las Vegas. So something that you guys want to pay attention to is our inventory. Housing inventory has been shortening for 7 weeks in a row. So that means that for 7 weeks, we have not seen the excess of inventory. If you look, and I will be posting it, I will be posting the screenshot of our system later on in the stories. You will see that we're 30% short. So we have around 700 new listings coming in, like over 900 listings going under the contract, which means that we still continue to experience the shortage of the inventory on the market. In fact, our inventory count is close to what we had during the pandemic. Good morning, David. Good to see you.
Morning, Alexandra. Good to see you.
How are you today?
I'm all right. Welcome back.
Thank you.
When I grow up, I want to be you. Honestly, so many vacations to take. Good for you.
Thank you. The world is too big to miss it.
Yes, that's true.
But today, I would like to zoom in on Clark County, Nevada, like on the overall economy and on Clark County, Nevada. So I was just talking about the shortage of inventory that we've been experiencing on the real estate market. So our inventory count is very close to what we had during pandemic. And some people might say, oh, not a big deal, because during pandemic we had like 3% interest rates, so like it was okay, and now our interest rates are high through the roof, so like it does not affect. How do you see in your business the effect of short inventory on the mortgage applications?
That's a good question. The mortgage applications we have more applications now than several months ago, so the housing market is.
David?
Yeah. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Jesus.
we can hear you.
All right. Excuse me 1 second. Got some technical issues here.
No worries. We can still hear you.
Instagram wants me to verify my account in the middle of a live. It's sending me a code. Jesus Christ. I apologize.
But we can still hear you. Oh, yeah, that's okay. So one of the things that David and I were looking into this morning is the overall appreciation of the real estate across the country, and in particular we were looking at the Zillow predictions, how Zillow was predicting that this year the housing prices are going to go down, and how they were only in May, and they actually changed their point of view, and now the Zillow is predicting the increase in the overall housing prices over the next year. Also, guys, for those of you who are waiting and expecting for the crash to happen, just letting you know that this first quarter of 2023, we have the lowest level of foreclosures across, like for the last 40 years, it's been the lowest level of foreclosures across the country. So that tells you that the big, the big default is not coming, like at least from the failure of the mortgage payments. Also, guys, remember that 70% of the country has the mortgage that is under 4%, and then we have 30% of the country that has the mortgage under 3%. And that is one of the major reasons why we're experiencing the shortage of inventory. So pretty much the sellers who would love to change their homes, like they might want to downsize or upsize. However, they're sitting in the homes with their 3 or 4% mortgages, and they're thinking, do I really, really need this move right now? Do I really want to come out of this 3% mortgage and get into like 6.5%, 7.5% mortgage? This is what the sellers are doing. They're a little bit procrastinating. The second trend that we see with a lot of sellers, when they have these historically low mortgages, when they make this move, when let's say they have no choice but to move, and these are mostly people who are moving across the country due to their job relocation or other reasons, but they move. But instead of selling their homes, their mortgages are so low, like the interest in their mortgages is so low that they do not put their homes on the market. What they do, they rent them out. And that's why when you compare the inventory of rentals, we have an ongoing inventory of rentals that has been, that has been growing for the next few months, because what happens is that builders don't build at the pace that we need them to build. They're still behind on their builders applications, the permits applications. So what happens is that homes, they don't come on the market for sale. They join the rental market. That's why the rentals, we have an access of rentals, but we don't have the access of inventory. So, David, we're glad you're back with us. So,
I know.
Tell us, how does the shortage of inventory affects the mortgage application and the lending business in home?
The shortage of inventory is inevitably adding to the price. And, I didn't think I would hear this in 2023, but over this weekend, when some agents called me, they were took their clients out shopping. What I kept hearing consistently is the offers they were making, those houses were gone, had over 7 offers on homes, and listing agents were consistently saying that offers were coming in above list price. Last time I heard offers above list price was 2021. Alexandra, what scares me is some people still think we're going to have a housing crash. Some people still think housing prices are going to come down for some reason, and they're waiting. And not only housing prices are not crashing, housing is slowly going up. That's what I keep hearing and seeing.
Absolutely, and this is exactly the same thing that we're experiencing. There are several top-rated zip codes here in the Valley in Clark County, where you would think that certain price points, and when I'm talking about the price points, and I think that David would agree with me, that the homes under 550, they stay on the market for fewer days, and they're more of a quicker moving inventory.
Sure.
But now what we're experiencing in a few top zip codes here in the Valley is that now this price point of a quicker moving inventory actually increased to $900,000. So we see fewer days on the market, and we see, last week alone, I only worked Wednesday through Sunday, but last week alone, we actually were in the multiple offer situations 4 times.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
And the price point that we were working with was between $500,000 to $800,000. So 4 times.
No, go ahead. I apologize.
No. that's what I wanted to say, is that for those of our clients who are still waiting for the price decrease, guys, it's not happening. We bottomed out in November last year. Like the prices are not dropping anymore here in the valley. If you see the price decreases, this is the price decrease due to the house being overpriced initially when placed on the market. So that is, that is the number one reason. So ask your real estate professional whether the house was worth the money that the seller was asking for at the, to begin with.
So there was a CNBC article. There was a CNBC article that said that over 70, I don't remember the exact percentage, over 70 people that bought houses in 2021 were unhappy with their purchase because there were such little inventory and they overpaid. But Alexandra, my fear is, and one of the most painful things in my job is when you talk to a client and due to their decisions, they're like, you know what, I'm going to continue renting. Rents and rates are too high, or I just don't qualify. I'm just going to go ahead and save more money, or whatever the reasoning has been behind not buying. Is you see that this person will never own a home, and it's such a painful realization. Because I honestly think, I remember in 2021 when our local Las Vegans were making offers 3.5%, 5%. Those minimum down buyers, their offers not only were not getting accepted, sellers were not even responding to them.
Absolutely.
Their offers were getting ignored. They were you went to an agent in 2021, said you have 3.5% down. The agents, a lot of agents would tell you your offer is just simply not going to get accepted. It's not going to get accepted at 10%.
And we had the agents actually declining service to those people, saying that they wouldn't be serving them.
Because the only way you could get your offer accepted in 2021 was if you offered more than the list price. Not only you offered more than the list price, but you outbid everyone else. This is some sort of a Christie's auction or something, Sotheby's auction on these houses. So this happened, and a lot of people were priced out, pushed out. I know families that actually moved out of Las Vegas to other suburbs of different cities so they could own something. I truly think in the next 3 to 5 months is going to be that window where the low down payment folks have the opportunity to buy something and own something. Now, they think the market's going to crash. They think that the rates are going to drop and then they'll buy something. I really don't. As soon as the Fed comes out sometime this year, towards the end, early next year, says he's easing the rates, that's it. That's it. That we're going to have a frenzy. Prices are going to start doubling, double digits, and a lot of people will again be pushed out of Las Vegas or home ownership.
Here's the argument that I hear a lot from, from my friends, from my sphere of influence, even from my clients. And people say, oh, those people across the streets are my friends. They, of course, they own the house because their mortgage is 3%, because their mortgage is 3.5%. But and they're stating it as a fact, and they're like, and now you're telling me that I should be a homeowner, with the mortgage of 7.5% or with the mortgage of 6.5%. But what I continuously remind those people of is the fact that, you know what? I was a homeowner at a higher percent. I entered the home ownership at the percent of whatever the market was at the time I was buying the house. And the reason I have the mortgage that is under 3% is by the time that the mortgage rates went down, I actually was a homeowner and I had the opportunity to refinance. For those of you, who doesn't have the infinite amount of cash and who are still hoping for the 3% mortgages, which I hope will never happen, not because I'm a mean person, but because every time you get you get to experience like this artificial drop in rates like we experienced during the pandemic, we will end up with the situation like the payoff is coming, and here's the payoff, guys. So please don't be fooled by the fact that, like, oh, it was a better time then. It wasn't a better time. It was, like it was artificially lowered interest that the payoff is here. We're experiencing it right now. And if you cannot afford the house right now, which is, which, to be honest with you, the situation is the same. If you didn't have the exuberant amount of cash to buy when the interest rates were 3%, you were not buying the house right now for the same reason. Like now you don't have the exuberant amount of money to buy the house, because you don't have this huge cash reserve. So think about it this way. When the interest rates are low, one thing that you want to do, and one way how you can win in this constant race between the inflation and the interest rate and the housing prices, there's one way to win is to own your house and refinance when you own the house. Because if you're trying to catch up with the market, you will not. You will not. Unless you have a dollar printer at home, that prints the money as you wish, then you will not be able to save. Like if you are saving your money right now, David, what is the inflation rate this month?
The May numbers were 5.5. It actually went up a little bit compared to March. Okay,
so let's say our inflation is 5.5. So if our inflation is 5.5, so every $100 that you put into your savings account are actually depleting at the rate of 5.5%
annually.
Annually. So by the end of the year, you don't have $100 in your bank account, or the buying power of your $100. I'm sorry. It is still $100 in your bank account, but the buying power is only $94.50. So this is what happens with the inflation. And if you think that you're going to keep your money in the CD, some kind of like the high yield account, in the best case scenario, you're going to have 2%. I've seen some banks offering like $2,500 for those people who will insert $250,000 in cash and keep it for 6 months.
To sum it into one sentence, I would say the combined affordability of housing, interest rates and prices increase is much faster than our ability to increase, most people's ability, in my experience, to increase their credit score, their savings, and their income. So the rate that we can improve our finances to qualify for that mortgage does not go as fast as the affordability gets away from us. So the only way to sort of stay up with it, keep up with it, is to own something while it appreciates, own that appreciation, and continue to improve your financial situation. But if you're thinking you could run next to that property, you're always going to fall behind. It's been my experience, at least. I need to kind of be careful.
And I think that this is the part that most people, this is the part that most people are actually missing out on. They think that, I held the house for I bought my house X many years ago, let's say I bought my house 3 years ago, and now I'm selling and I'm getting all this money, this is all the money that these are my, the equity that I'm getting out of the house is the payments that I made. But in reality, guys, what you don't understand is that the payments that you made in the first 3 years, the 90% of those payments were probably your interest payments, and they were written off on your tax returns, and only the fraction of those payments went towards the principal balance. And the majority of the money that you were getting netting from the sale, it actually comes from the asset appreciation. And this is very important. This is the key thing that you guys do need to understand when you're buying a property, whether it is an investment or or your personal residence. What you need to understand is that you're buying an asset. Let's say you're buying an asset with 10% down. You're putting in only 10%. For the ease of it, let's say you're buying $1 million house and you're only putting 10%, which is $100,000. But you get the appreciation, the 6% appreciation, or let's be extremely conservative and take half of it. Let's take 3% appreciation that you get for the entire asset. You're getting the appreciation of the $1 million versus, which compounds over the years, versus the appreciation of your money, of your down payment, of your initial investment. And this is usually that chunk of money that most of the people get when they sell the house. The majority of their income comes, like especially on after the first few years of ownership, this majority of the net proceeds is going to come out of the appreciation of your asset, not from the principal balance paid down. And this is where a lot of people feel like, there is a misalignment of it. But the truth is that in the past 10 years, the houses have been appreciating with such a speed that the interest rate that you were paying for the house would be lower than the appreciation the house got at the end of the year. And I think this is a very important thing to understand. But David, can you tell me what you see, not in the mortgage applications, but through the contracts, because you guys are seeing all of the seller contributions, so you see the end result of the contracts when you receive the
correct.
When you receive the purchase agreements. So with the amount of purchase agreements that you receive from the agents from all over the valley, please tell us what you keep on seeing now versus a month ago.
Well, last time I got a seller's contribution was in April. I have not gotten a seller to contribute to the buyer in May. Only one, that was your contract. Okay, so you were aggressive enough to get that for that one client. But other than that, if we don't count that, the whole pipeline that I was to look at, I don't have a single seller contribution. What does this mean? Sellers are not desperate. Sellers, this market is slowly shifting from buyer's market to seller's market. Buyers still think that they're going to wait to buy something better with lower interest rates, with cheaper prices are crashing, whereas sellers are getting multiple offers and actually not even remotely considering contributing anything. So the market has shifted. A month ago, it was shifting. It has shifted. It is a seller's market, in my opinion.
And I would, just to piggyback off what you were saying, it is true, guys. I do have a client who lost 2 of his favorite properties. The offers, we did not get accepted on 2 of his favorite properties just because the client decided that he was going to go to put an offer under the list price, and the homes were on the market for a while. So guys, please, if you're shopping right now for a property, be very, very careful, be very, very upfront with your realtor, and talk to them first and discuss all of the ins and outs. Like the fact that the house has been on the market for a few days does not mean at all that they don't have offers, B, that they're going to accept a vastly lower offer. Check with the listing agent first if they have or have not the offers. Like I said, we are facing more and more situations where there are more than one offer for the house. We see the increase in showings. absolutely on our lock boxes. So as of right now, to be honest with you, we are encouraging our sellers to be A, patient, B, not drop the price.
Yeah.
Like we're, and I know that most of us still tend to think about the category of the pandemic years. So pandemic years, our average days on the market were under 20 days. That's fine, guys, but let's think about the normal market. The normal market, our average days on the market was 60. So right now, we are actually slowly moving to normality. Even with those crazy high interest rates, we're still moving to normality. And for the, for those who are thinking how can Las Vegas still be lacking inventory with the, with such interest rates, David, sorry for putting you on the spot, but how many applications do you get from the local people versus the ones who are moving into state?
Well, that's a good question. Let me take a look. I don't have statistic. I don't keep statistic. Well, I do know that Las Vegas is very attractive for especially Californians because of our no state tax. When I talk to new clients, this is a constant conversation that they want to move here, their business here, they work from home, because that's tens of thousands of dollars that they will save. But to be honest with you, I don't keep track. One, two. All right, so I'd say about 20% of the pipeline
are out of state.
2 out of 11 loans right now are out of state.
Okay, and when I talk to my clients, and I get a lot of clients that are coming they're coming from our advertisement on Google, on Zillow, and in different sources. So they come and we start this conversation, and they ask me, Alexandra, how come? How come with such high interest rates, you're telling us that there is very limited inventory? Where does the inventory go? And when I mentioned the first, at the beginning of this video, at the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned the sellers who don't want to lose out on their 3% or 4% mortgages, and converting their personal residences into the rentals even when they buy. Then the second thing that happens is that, guys, don't forget that interest rates, they went up across the country. So they went up from California to New York across the country. But what happens is that when interest rates go up, obviously the affordability goes down, or your ability to buy a house of a certain level. So that actually triggers a lot of, for a lot of potential buyers, it triggers the thought, if I can no longer afford where I'm at, where else can I move in order not to lose the quality of my life? The quality of the amenities that the city, the area gets to offer, and still afford. And this is your answer why people are coming into Las Vegas. Because no matter what is going on, for the last 10 years, Las Vegas has been ranking among the top 5 metropolitan areas in the United States with the best infrastructure, with the best offerings as far as the economy goes, with the job offerings, and with all of the different development that we get to offer. That's why when people can no longer afford in Los Angeles, in Washington, if they can no longer afford in Seattle, Dallas, they can no longer afford in Denver, in Boston, in New York, guess where they're moving? They're absolutely moving to Nevada. Yes, they get the same rate if they were to buy in Dallas. They would get the same interest rate. But now they can get more property, or they can get a better quality property, they can get a bigger home here in Nevada. And this is exactly why you can see that the best metropolitan areas, and if you guys Google the top 25 metropolitan areas that are experiencing the increase in population, you will see Las Vegas among them, because we're getting a lot of out-of-state clients. And I know David said like 20%. Yes, it's 20%, but remember that a lot. Yeah, and most of those people, when they're moving into Las Vegas, yes, they tend to find the local realtor, but they don't think, like, unless their local realtor actually recommends the local lender, then they don't, they don't go for the local lender. So they tend to work with somebody that they know and trust back at home. So those lenders are experiencing more of the situation where they're lending out of state. That's why, probably David cannot give us, the perfect numbers, from his pipeline, but it is still happening that we get a lot of in-state migration.
What I would tell people, Alexandra, for those people that think or say that properties in Las Vegas are overpriced, if you were to look at all the major metropolitan cities on the West Coast, okay, even Midwest, go from Denver, go to Phoenix, go to Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, right? Yeah, LA, all that, San Diego. Okay, I'm done. Las Vegas is still the cheapest metropolitan area in
the most affordable.
From Midwest to the cheapest and the most affordable, having no income taxes. It's quite attractive. It's warm. It's part of the Sun Belt, so to speak. So when I say that, okay, all of a sudden people are like, oh, David, you're right. Okay, yeah, I guess Vegas is cheap. Well, Vegas is cheap, but most people haven't really registered that Las Vegas is a city, population north of 2.5 million, and it's growing rapidly. We've got major sports now. We're a decent city. We're not a suburb of LA anymore. At least I'd like to think so. But if we break apart from not be a suburb of Los Angeles, you know what? Vegas is a very decent, growing metropolitan area, and it is extremely underpriced. If anyone says that rents are expensive in Las Vegas, rents are really cheap. Rent is extremely cheap in Las Vegas. Rent stands to increase as soon as rates drop, in my opinion. Rents will explode in Las Vegas. So will the real estate prices. We still have properties dropped. Prices dropped a bit last year, about 15 to 20%, whatever. Okay, we still have expensive money. We still have a high interest rates, and I find myself repeating this on your show. But if we have 7.5% interest rate, and this is the price, this is the low price. That's it. Just because this does not change. High rates mean low prices. The prices that you have, no matter what it is, it's the low prices. And week after week, I keep seeing the proof that I'm right. It is the low prices. Prices are slowly starting to move north.
And I would repeat myself one more time. If you guys are in a contract where the seller is providing you with the seller contribution, you're at a huge luck. If you guys within the contract where the area comps are showing you that you are immediately getting equity. If you received an appraisal on the house that is actually higher than your purchase price, hold on to that home. Do not make any silly moves, because letting that house go, if you have thoughts, or if you're getting cold feet, or if you're getting scared, letting that house go will mean that most likely you are not going to have the seller contribution on the next contract. You might be in a multiple offer situation in your next contract, or the next house that you think that is going to be better that can come on the market, and it might be better, it might be nicer, but trust me, it's going to come at a higher price level.
Yeah.
And this is, this is just what we see from the from the stats and from watching the market every single day. So rates are high across the country, but affordability in the state of Nevada and in Las Vegas metropolitan area is actually one of the best. And why David, to piggyback from what you were saying, why I say affordability, not only the housing prices, because not only we don't have the state income tax, our annual property taxes, like if you look across
are so cheap now.
Exactly, guys, just compare the property prices in the West Coast metropolitan areas, and you're going to see that Las Vegas property, Clark County property, annual property taxes are among the lowest. Now, another thing that most people do not know, and I would like to point out, unlike California, when the property changes hands here in Nevada, especially on the resale market, your taxes are not going to be based off the purchase price. So your taxes, when you purchase a house for a higher price than the previous buyer got it, your property annual property tax does not exponentially increases. It actually increases by 3 to 8%. 3% annually if you are the owner occupant, and 8% up to 8% if you are an investor. So you don't have this jump that most Californians are actually experiencing when they're buying the house from somebody who bought it, let's say in 60s, and were paying very low property taxes, and then out of a sudden they purchase this house and their annual income tax becomes, goes from $2,000 to $25,000 per year, within a moment, just due to the sale. We don't experience that. Now, if you compare our property insurances, go ahead and compare the insurance of the home in Oregon. Go ahead, compare us with Oregon, with Seattle, with LA, and most,
Is it expensive? I have no clue.
It is way more expensive. If you really, really want to see the price sticker shock, go ahead and compare the property insurance with Florida. After the latest event, I kid you not, David, a good client of mine moved to Florida last year, and right now his house is on the market. By the way, if anybody wants to have an absolutely gorgeous home in Fort Myers, Florida, go ahead, give me a call. It's a brand new home. My client lived in it for 6 months, and he is absolutely fed up with the Florida prices for the insurance, for the maintenance, for everything. He is coming back to Las Vegas. So that, if you guys want to compare things, go ahead and compare things. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to trust David. Just go ahead and trust the data. Just pull the data on Google yourself, and you will see a difference between between what you can afford at an X amount, whatever your budget is, in other metropolitan areas, if this is what you're, interested in, versus what you can afford here in the Valley. David, you're still with us?
That's very interesting information. I never really cared to check insurance for other cities, but I understand.
But that's the part of your loan. That's the part of your loan. That's part of your payment. And when people from California tell me, we don't even have to put it as a part of our loan. You don't have to put it, but you still pay it. It might not be, it might not be the part of your mortgage payment, but you're still going to be obligated to pay the property insurance and your taxes. If it's not included in your in your mortgage payments, you're still going to make that payment one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. I guess Vegas is so safe because nothing ever happens in the desert. It's not a flood zone. It's not a tornado zone. So that's why property taxes are really, and our properties are fairly new. So it makes a lot of sense.
Our city is what?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
not even 100 years old.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to see about the safety of the city, like the natural conditions, the safety of the city, you can check out the research done by the Database Center Facility Switch, which is state-of-the-art database center that is located here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're the home of this facility. So their research showed before they actually developed the facility and made Las Vegas their home, they did an extensive research throughout the United States. Where is the best place to put the database centers? And they discovered that Las Vegas metropolitan area was actually 72% less likely than to get any kind of natural disaster than the majority of the places in the United States. And that's why we have this huge switch facility.
Yeah. Nothing happens on Mars. Nothing happens on Las Vegas. There's nothing to happen. Maybe some wind and dust. Yeah. I love Las Vegas.
Yes, we did. So am I, and there are a lot of things, and people think that we are, like that we're a complete desert, but I would tell you guys, like, if you were thinking about moving to Las Vegas, just get connected with the local realtor and let them tell you about different areas where we have an absolutely stunning areas with the plenty of vegetation. We have golf course properties where you go in, and like it doesn't have to be an expensive property. Like we have older areas where there's plenty of vegetation. We have like we have places like Lake Las Vegas or Desert Shores where it doesn't even feel like you're in the middle of the desert. So, and this is something that Zillow is not going to tell you, because Zillow is only showing you the homes. They're not telling you about the area. So get with the local real estate professional, and if you have concerns that you will be in the middle of desert and there will be nothing alive, that's not true. We have plenty of communities. We have master planned communities where this vegetation and great infrastructure is placed like in a greater area, and we have plenty of construction going on. So David, can you tell me a little bit about the, like, how do you advise the clients to work with the affordability and with the pricing of loans? Like, what are you still offering for those who are trying to lower their monthly payments for the mortgages? What are all the options that we have on the table?
Honestly, there aren't very many options. A lot of times the conversation just comes down to, especially the first-time home buyer, the bubbles burst. They can't find the $500,000 house. They cannot afford it. So they're like, you know what, I'm just going to wait a year or two. And my suggestion is just buy something, own something, because prices are going to go up. Use that equity, ride that wave up, surf that wave up. That's been my suggestion, my urge to clients. But if we talk about, go down to and dissect the loan payment, right? You have the mortgage. Mortgage is the loan amount multiplied by interest rate. Rates are high. We can lower interest rates by either paying down, paying to lower the interest rate, or getting a seller concession, which is going away. You could put a bigger down payment, keep your loan smaller. Okay, you could increase, in some cases, your credit score. Let's say pay down some debt, have a better credit score, qualify for a better interest rate. Again, these are small changes. So you'll go from 7.5 to 7.25, 7.1. It's not going to go down to 4.5. So, but again, you can. And by all means, you should maintain a very high credit score, because that's one of the components of a good interest rate, and the interest rate is important for your monthly affordability. The good credit score also will help you to get a more affordable home insurance. They look at that. Property taxes, obviously, if you're buying an owner-occupied property, that's going to be low. So that's about it. I would say if you have maintained a great credit score, put as big a down payment as you can, keep that loan amount as small as possible. If you can get something from the seller, do that. That's slowly going away, like we mentioned earlier. And talk to the loan officer, talk to me. We do a very thorough calculation whether you should spend money out of your own pocket to buy the interest rate down. Okay, that's some people do, some people don't. That's not a one pill fits all kind of thing. So talk. Let's dissect the numbers. Let's calculate and see if it makes sense for you.
And is it true that in some cases, due to the interest rates, people are actually opting out to go for the FHA loan versus the conventional loan, just in order to get a better interest rate and to get, to get lower payments?
FHA will offer slightly, maybe half a point, half an interest rate better, but not everyone qualifies for an FHA. So FHA is on the table. Not everyone, even if they qualify, some people should not get an FHA. So FHA does offer a lower interest rate than the conventional, but again, FHA I would say is about 5 to 10% of our pipeline. It's not as big as people think. Conventionals are, yeah.
Conventionals are the way to go.
Yeah.
And of course, we rarely mention them, and unfortunately that we do, but I would like to fix it. VAs.
Uh-huh.
I think that we should, talk about the VAs, saying that, guys, if you have an opportunity right now, if you are VA eligible, go into the mortgage. David, tell us the privileges of VA. Why would why would you absolutely totally buy the house now with the VA?
Of course, the thing with the VA is getting a VA loan is an absolute privilege, first of all, right? Because VA does not have a down payment. You could buy a VA home with a zero down. It's got no mortgage insurance. So those two alone are several $100s. Like just the more PMI alone is like $200-300 a month. VA, being a government loan, offers a lower interest rate, just like the FHA. They're both govies, right? So the VA has by default lower interest rate. VA is a privilege for those that have served, and by all means, if you have the ability to apply for a VA loan, do so. I would say 9 out of 10 cases, VA is going to beat out conventional. In some rare cases, conventional will still be better because for your subsequent use, VA ends up having like a higher mortgage insurance, PMI, funding fee. VA has a funding fee. And again, that has to be taken into consideration. And some people opt for the conventional if they're putting a big down payment. But I would say 9 out of 10 times, VA is an awesome loan out. There's nothing better than that.
You know what? I meant to ask you this question a long time ago. Can the funding fee for the VA loan be actually paid for by the seller?
Okay.
Does VA allow that? Or is it something that you need to look up? Because I had this question before.
That's a good question. Can I ask ChatGPT? I honestly haven't.
No, you can't, because that's the difference between the professional and the ChatGPT. I ask you the questions because I don't want the internet answer. I want the professional answer.
Put me on the spot. So
it's okay. You can give us this answer. You can give us this answer next time.
Okay. So here's my answer. All closing costs are allowed to be paid by the seller, contributed by the seller. So by that default, you should be able to pay the funding fee from the seller contribution. Funding fee is not something that gets paid for at the closing cost table. It gets rolled into the loan, so it gets added to the loan. Excuse me. So that's not something that the seller has to pay, the buyer has to pay for. It just gets added, just like the FHA. FHA has upfront mortgage insurance that gets rolled into the loan. If you want to pay for it, I'm pretty sure, and again, I'll find out for you that we should be able to use the seller contribution for that. I'll find out.
I have a suggestion, and once you have the answer, we're going to post it under this video once it's saved. We're going to post it whether the VA funding fee can be paid by the seller or it cannot be paid by the seller. And the reason why we're not giving you the answer right now, guys, because that it is, like we don't have to know it all. And we will never know it all. But the reason why we're going to be, right? What is it?
I'm reading it. I just asked Bard, Google's AI, and it says, yes, the seller can pay the funding fee.
Okay. Excellent. So, and we're going to check with the VA, correct?
Yes.
If they can or cannot.
Yes.
Because what happens is that your lender will always have the guidelines. And what you can do with the FHA mortgage, with the VA mortgage, and with the conventional mortgage, these are three different things. And if you had something done, let's say I have a client who had the conventional loan done before, like the purchase with the conventional loan, and now we're purchasing with the FHA, and I'm telling the client that we have to request the seller to paint the soffits under the roof because the paint is peeling, and they're like, we never had it done before. They're like, we never heard of it. And I'm like, this is the FHA requirement.
Right.
Like, and if you had the VA loan before, or if the seller actually purchased with like VA or conventional, they could have had a different requirement. So their appraiser might not have paid attention to those soffits. And now we will be paying attention to those. And unless we want the appraiser to come out the second time and pay for the second appearance of the appraiser at the property, we want to get it ready from the get-go before the appraisal comes the first time. David, one more thing I wanted to ask you. What do you guys experience from the standpoint of the purchase price versus the appraisal value? Is there any, is there anything that you can tell us, like how do those two align so far?
Homes are appraising.
Files.
I haven't had a property, at least in a couple of months, that didn't appraise. So homes are appraising, which means it's a very good sign for the buyers for now. When homes do not appraise, that's 2021, it means we have a rapid appreciation. That's not happening. It will happen. It's not happening yet, which means when we get a contract, most of the time, the value is going to be there.
So for those people who are thinking that the houses are overpriced, David, what is the purpose of the appraisal?
Well, the appraisal
in the loan process.
Of course, well, the bank is going to give you money, front you money, finance this property. They want to make sure that you're not buying a $200,000 property and they're not fronting $1 million for it. So they need to make sure that whatever they lend to you is commensurate with the value of that asset that they're securing against.
So the appraisal, in other words, the appraisal is your checkpoint whether the purchase price actually matches the value of the house, or if the house, in simple words, if the house is overpriced or not.
Yes.
David, can I pay the appraiser to give me the report that I want? To give my buyer the report that I want?
After 2008's housing crash and the Dodd-Frank financial overhaul of 2011, you don't get, us as lenders, we don't get to talk to the appraiser. There's a degree of separation between the bank, the loan officer, the bank, and the appraiser. There's a company, appraisal management company, that was there. So we don't have a direct influence over the appraiser. And what happens is once we place an order online on the portal of the AMC Appraisal Management Company, they randomly assign an appraiser. We don't know who it's going to be, and we don't even talk to them. If we have a concern, a question, a request, a note is put on AMC's portal, and they communicate to that given appraiser. So there's a big separation. In the past, in 2005, yes, I'm guilty of it. We used to call the appraiser, hey, listen, I need an extra $50,000 value on this. Can you do this? Well, yeah, David, you give me 10 transactions a month. Of course I could do this. That was the dynamic of 2005. That's not the dynamic now.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are just joining or just started watching this video, the lender does the the lender, the mortgage officer, does not get to pick the appraiser. The buyer does not get to pick the appraiser. Appraiser is picked by the appraisal management company. Is that correct?
AMC.
And it is a random appraiser. So the only person who is going to have more or less access to the appraiser and their information is going to be the listing agent. And if we're lucky, then the appraiser is going to contact us prior to going into the house. And sometimes they're just going to go in. If the property is vacant, they're going to go in and they're not going to give us a call. So for that reason, the appraisal is done by the third party that is an independent party, and that produces the report that actually talks about not only about the value of the property, but also about the condition of the property, whether it matches the requirements of your loan and whether it matches the price point, or which price point it should be, so the appraisal can come. There were two things that we look for on the appraisal. We're looking for the A, value, which is the most important, and B, we're looking for the conditions, because sometimes some of the appraisals, they can come with the conditions that have to be met by the seller, by the selling side, before we can close the loan.
Alexandra, I couldn't wait. So I'm actually on VA's website. I have the answer. Can I say it, or do you still want to
Absolutely.
post it? Yeah, okay.
Please.
So I'm on the VA's website, and it says you, the buyer or the seller, can negotiate who will pay for closing costs, such as the funding fee, loan negotiation fee, origination fee, and so on. So as long as the seller contribution is at or less than 4%, no more than 4%, you can apply that by all means to the VA funding fee, origination fee, appraisal fee, taxes, insurance, all that stuff, recording fee. Basically, most of the what they cannot pay for is the I think termite inspection. Whatever. VA is weird.
No. Actually, the seller pays for the termite inspection.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. We have it written in stone. Like all of the termite inspections are covered.
Here's what it says: the seller must pay commission for the real estate professionals, brokerage fee, buyer broker fee, termite report. Yeah.
Correct.
There are no termites in Las Vegas. I've seen once in 18 years of doing mortgages. There are no termites in Las Vegas. There's nothing to.
And the reason why we're having, like, guys, even though I agree with David, there is one or two very rare types of termites that you can find in Las Vegas, but due to our weather conditions, aka usually we're at zero humidity.
They don't need clay.
Yep. So we don't really have termites, but nevertheless, being that VA is a government loan, we're going to comply with the government loan requirements, and we're still going to perform a VA, like a termite inspection on every single one VA loan, even though we know what it's going to come back. 99.9% negative in majority of the cases.
Yep.
And David, last question to you. In order to talk about, like when we're all thinking about saving money, so talking about saving money, resale homes versus the new builds. Why do you save money on the closing costs when you were buying a resale versus when you were buying from the new builder?
What a great question. Thank you for asking. So when you buy from a builder, from a bank, from an entity other than the person that's selling that house, right? From a private party. When you buy a property, let's say a foreclosed property, okay, let's lump it all into together, from a bank, from a builder, what's going to happen is they're not going to pay for transfer tax. That's 0.5% of your purchase price, of the value of the home, and they're not going to pay for title insurance. So most homes, that's like a $3,000 cost at least. Add it to your closing costs.
It's a percentage of the purchase price.
Yeah, what is it?
So it depends on your purchase price.
Yeah, correct. So title insurance and transfer taxes are always paid by you. So typically when you buy a property from a builder, you're going to see a much higher closing cost. That's like a typical thing. Okay. And sometimes it's up to double the closing cost. Also, one thing that builders are not very happy about disclosing is that your property taxes are going to be 1% of your purchase price, which is immediately such a huge amount. I was talking to your client, Alexandra, by the way, yesterday, and I said that if they had bought this house from a builder, we did the numbers, their property taxes would have been roughly about $280, and they're currently 240. I'm sorry, 140. So they would have been double. That's the one little dirty secret that people find out after they've bought a home from a builder. When it's a brand new construction, your property taxes are 1% of your purchase price.
And this is the only time when your property tax is going to be tied to the purchase price. When you're buying a resale, your property tax is not tied to
That's correct.
Purchase price.
Correct.
And there is a way how you can fight it, how you can fight and lower your tax on the brand, yes, but you have to bear with it for at least 12 to 24 months before the assessor's office actually gets the data, and then you can file the paperwork to fight and lower your tax.
Interesting.
It is a process. It is a paper process. People rarely do that, but we went through that process a lot in 2011 through 13, when we had lower property values for those people who still had kept their homes, through the crisis of 2008. We actually lowered the taxes. And for those of you guys who by any chance received a report from us or from whatever local agency that you're using, your CMA or your property equity report or value report, and you see that the value of your home is lower by any chance than what you paid for it, then one of the things that you can do and use it to your advantage, you can actually go and contest the amount of your annual property tax with the assessor's website. And if you want to know the process, one of the things that you can do, you can actually call the assessor's office and say, I think my property tax is too high. What is the process to lower it?
I wonder
once
I can make an email thing and just email it to my past clients. So why not?
Absolutely. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. All they will need is the market analysis, and guys, you're all welcome to request one. If you need one, we are happy to produce one. The comps in your house, in your area, just go ahead, DM me if you need to know how to go through this process. We are more than happy to walk you through the process. And as always, my goal is to find the opportunity and to find the advantages in any economic, in any economic turn. So, if you happen to have a lowering in your property value, go ahead and adjust your tax. That might be your golden opportunity once in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. All right.
So I'm happy
to talk about to my clients.
I'm happy to learn something new. And David, as always, thank you so much for joining us on Wednesday, and thank you for all who wrote to us that they actually missed us last week. I was actually flattered to hear that you and I were missed. And people actually noticing our videos, and they find them useful, and they find them actually informative. Guys, please remember that these videos are also posted on YouTube, and I know that it's harder for you to follow the video on Instagram for an hour. It's totally understandable. We're all craving for time. But if you think that there is a useful information in our lives, they are broken down into chapters based on time and posted on YouTube. So you're more than welcome to find us on YouTube, Nevada Realty Experts, and see our videos. You can also speed them up if you needed to. Like, I am the one who watches majority of videos on 1.5 or 2x the speed, and you can also go back and forth in the tape if you needed to. So the navigation is a little bit better than Instagram. And once again, David, thank you so much for joining us, for your input, for sharing with us, for delivering the valuable information about the VA loan. And thank you for supporting our clients.
I have a feeling I learned more today than I actually taught. So interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you. And for all of you watching us either live or in recording, we encourage you to contact us with your questions. If it is something personal or contains your personal information, please use DM or use our direct contact information. If it is a general question, feel free to either send them to me, to David, or post them under the video. We're happy to respond to all of them.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
David, have a great week.